Pat Bev shares his thoughts on the Dwyane Wade versus James Harden conversation. Check it out.
Because of the questions I've been asking. One of my questions were the top 3 shooting guard of all time, right? And obviously we know the first 2. We know Michael Jordan is 1. We know Kobe Bryant is 2, right? We know that in the dough. So the third one caused a bit of a ruckus, right? I had James Harden as 3, right? And people via Twitter called me delusional, called me crazy, like they always do. They had Dwyane Wade and Allen Iverson. Again, to me, right, those 2 after James Harden, like, obviously, right, because, you know, we speak about Dwyane Wade, right, championship. We speak about Allen Iverson, what he did with the...
Now, I want you to pay close attention to how dismissive he is and a bunch of other people are on championships that he has, but as the guy, the 2006 one that Dwyane Wade got.
Philadelphia 76ers, right? But I think the question to pose here is like peak versus longevity, right? And
there's about a year's difference in their careers.
Longevity matters. How long you've been doing what you've been doing matters. It matters when it comes to professionalism, right? Taking care of your body. Is your body still able to go? I think I'm 37, so James Harden has to be 36, 37, same age. Like, so for him to continue to lead a team, continue to play a ton of games, right? Like his availability is there, always. It's always been there, right? They changed the rule for him multiple times, right? His IQ of the game, how he's able to dissect the game and get to the free throw line. I don't think a lot.
Now, changing the rules, not necessarily exactly on point. See, the interpretation of the rules that have always been has become more clear. Because you go in the comment section, all you're seeing is travel, 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 travel. So the understanding of the rules has become a larger topic of conversation. I will give James Harden that.
A lot of people know this, but statistically, he's a better shooter than Ray Allen. He's right under Steph Curry when it comes to threes, like made. He's 2 all time, right? We talk about a person who's started his career coming off the bench behind 2 Hall of Famers, first ballots, Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, right? Found this niche, went to multiple teams, did things that we've never seen players do. 50-point triple-doubles, 40-point triple-doubles, right? And I think people...
No, 50-point triple-doubles, 40-point triple... Cool. Correction, Ray Allen shoots 40% for his career from 3, James Harden 36. Just wanted to point that out. But make some decent points about James Harden.
The argument with this is, okay, D-Wade had a championship. And I'm from Chicago. I love Dwyane Wade, obviously, right? So I F with D-Wade. Like, that's the homie. But when it comes to, like, a player, right? You're talking about a player that can score it, a player that can get to the free throw line, a player that can pass it out of pick and roll. A lot of people were going under on D-Wade pick and rolls. I ain't go front.
And they ended up losing the championship by doing so multiple times. Shout out San Antonio Spurs. Shout out the Dallas Mavericks. Notice this is a specialist player, okay, that is not naming the thing he's a specialist in to prop up James Harden. I just want to point that out. Now, he's also going to go on to say that Dwyane Wade has a championship. That's a team accomplishment. One of the things we're about to discuss right now that I'm going to break down is when you were the guy, it is your responsibility to lead that team to a championship. Otherwise, what are we paying you a max contract for? So we're going to dive into that. We're going to dive into the conversation about what their best season in the league looked like, what their best playoff series was in their careers. And then, in my mind, I think we can go step for step offensively and have a conversation between these two, because defensively, the thing that Patrick Beverley is avoiding talking about, that's clearly a point for D-Wade. But get his video, like, subscribe to the channel. Let's chop things up in just a minute.
tired of being humble. I'm tired of letting people think they got a chance. This is my show. This is my camera. I run it all.
All right, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Outside the Playbook. We are going to dive into the Dwyane Wade versus James Harden conversation. And right off the bat, we acknowledge Dwyane Wade's career. All right, what he's done throughout the course of his career. You see All-Stars, championships, All-NBAs. One thing I want you to zero in on in this comparison, the three-time All-Defensive teams, the Finals MVP, okay? Now, when we flip the script and we look at James Harden's side, yes, he does not have a Finals MVP. He is not an All-Defensive team member, but he's a three-time scoring champion compared to Dwyane Wade's one time. He is a regular season MVP compared to Dwyane Wade's 0. That is one of the things that we can say, you know what, point for this guy, because we're going to be fair. All right, I'm be unbiased. Dwyane Wade's my favorite player of all time, but we have to set up the conversation so that it's balanced. It's not just biased, you know, me going through Dwyane Wade's accomplishments and all that and dismissing what James Harden has done in the game of basketball. We're not going to do that. All right, the next thing I want to discuss is let's talk about these players. When you're the guy, what are you at your best? What does that look like on the basketball court? This part is regular season only. So when I'm looking at Dwyane Wade's best season, I'm looking at 2009 for the Miami Heat. 30 points, 5 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 49% from the field. He is the only player in NBA history with at least 2,000 points, 500 assists, 150 steals, 100 blocks in a single season. That same year, he was third in MVP voting. He was third in Defensive Player of the Year voting. He was all NBA first team and all NBA defensive second team. Then, in fairness, we got to look at James Harden's best year. Now, I do know that James Harden was the MVP in 2018. My personal opinion, when I'm looking for James Harden's best season, I'm definitely looking at 2019. 36 points, 6.6 rebounds, 7.5 assists, 44% from the field. And he broke the longest single season streak of 30-point games. He had 32 consecutive. He became the first player to record 2,800 points, 500 rebounds, 500 assists in a single season. He was the MVP runner-up and all NBA first team. Both of these guys, when they're at the very best in their game, they can put the ball in the basket, they can facilitate, they can shoot at a high clip, be efficient, at least in terms of James Harden. He's a volume scorer, so his efficiency is always going to hover between 44 and 45% from the field. But one thing that is very, very glaring in this conversation that nobody wants to address, James Harden is so great offensively, but his offensive greatness does not overshadow Dwyane Wade's offensive greatness coupled with his defensive prowess. Dwyane Wade is #1 all-time in career playoff combined with regular season blocks in NBA history. He has multiple defensive second teams. James Harden offensively does not eclipse Dwyane Wade's totality of his game, but offensively, Dwyane Wade's offensive prowess, his offensive dominance does not overshadow James Harden. So that's a point for both guys. But one thing that causes me to lean towards D-Wade is he's doing it on both ends of the court. Now, the conversation we're about to have is going to be these two players. You're the absolute undisputed #1 option. You have an opportunity to win a championship. What do you look like on the basketball court? For Dwyane Wade, that is 2006 versus the Dallas Mavericks. Year 3, might I add. 34, 7.8 rebounds, 3.4 assists, 2.7 steals. We've seen the blocks, 47, 27, 77. His offensive rating was 113, a defensive rating of 97 when you're guarding Jason Terry, Josh Howard, and Devin Harris, and you have a 97 defensive rating and a 36.9 usage rating. That's impressive. And I'm not, like I said, I'm not being biased. That is impressive considering who you had to guard. You're guarding the #2 option, the #1 perimeter option on the other team who can absolutely go off. You're guarding the 3rd option on the other team, and you're also responsible for guarding the 4th option. 3 of the top 4 options on the other team are effectively dismantled defensively because D-Wade's putting up a 97 defensive. That's impressive. Now, on the flip side, also impressive, also played well in this series, James Harden, 2019 versus the Golden State Warriors. In my opinion, this was his best opportunity to win a championship. I know everybody's going to talk about Embiid and then him going to the Clippers with Kawhi. Listen, this was his best chance to get an NBA championship. Similar points per game, similar rebounds, 5.5 assists, 2.2 steals, 44, 35, 82 from the field, offensive rating of 119, but defensively, he put up a defensive rating of 113 with a similar usage rating. Defensive rating at 113 when your primary assignment is to guard guys like Draymond Green, Andre Iguodala. That's not impressive to me. That's just my opinion. That's not impressive. And one thing that we can compare for these two series, Wade versus Dallas, Harden versus Golden State, is Dwyane Wade was down 0-2 and he was losing by 13 points with 6 minutes left in Game 3 in the NBA Finals. They came back to win that 4-2. James Harden was down 3-2, no Kevin Durant, and they were at home with an opportunity to even the series, and Kevin Durant would not play for another couple games. So you had an opportunity to win Game 6, then go win Game 7, and Kevin Durant is not there. You said a year before that Chris Paul was injured. That's one of the biggest reasons you lost. You come back the following year, CP3 is there, Kevin Durant is not, and you still lose in 6 games. In my opinion, point for Dwyane Wade. And look, offensively, this is how close these two series were. James Harden took 10 more field goals than D-Wade. He made 16 more threes. D-Wade took 25 more free throws, and he had 1 less point and 1 less turnover. So these were very, very close in statistics. So this shows offensively they were right on par. The difference is always going to be defense. Now, when I compare their offensive games, everybody is quickly to say James Harden, dismissive of Dwyane Wade's bag. So let's go aspect by aspect of their offensive games. Threes definitely got James Harden. He's going to shoot more, he's going to make more, and he's going to be efficient at it. Mid-range game, I'm going Dwyane Wade. Unstoppable. Getting to the free throw line and shooting at a higher percentage, James Harden. Post-up game, no debate, Dwyane Wade. Then you look at passing. I'm going to give the edge to James Harden, even though Dwyane Wade can't pass the basketball. LeBron wasn't just throwing lobs to himself the whole time. Then you have to look at efficiency. I'm going to lean towards Dwyane Wade because he's always going to be more efficient from the field. Now, when we look at pick and roll, okay, Dwyane Wade is one of the most explosive pick and roll players in the history of the game. James Harden is one of the best passer scorers out of the pick and roll. You can't stop either one of them. I'm not going to pick. I'm going to say this one is a tie. Finishing around the basket, the guy that has the most dunks in NBA history for a guard is Dwyane Wade, and he has more twos scored than James Harden. I'm going to lean Dwyane Wade in this aspect. And clutch factor, 13-8 in game winners, favor of Dwyane Wade. Now, I've been as unbiased as I possibly can. Just 3 aspects that I look at when I'm measuring these players. I have never once said James Harden as a defender is on the same level as Dwyane Wade. I didn't say Dwyane Wade's on the same level as James Harden offensively, but the difference in this conversation is Dwyane Wade is closer to James Harden offensively than James Harden is to Dwyane Wade defensively. That is the difference. It's just as simple as that. Get this video a like, subscribe to the channel. Let me know in the comments. Do you have Dwyane Wade or do you have James Harden? That's one more for the good guys.